Our featured match for today, our last of Super Sunday, is Firebat versus Nalguidan. Take a look at this video.
My name is James Kostasich. My handle is Firebat. My favorite Hearthstone Esports memory is winning the 2014 World Championship. That was pretty tough to beat, but I'm hoping that one day I can beat that memory. Being in Grandmasters, to me, means that I get another chance to prove myself and show that 2014 wasn't a fluke and that I am still here to play.
I'm Facundo Pruso, more known as Nalguidan. Outside gaming, I like to do sports. I like to do a lot of swimming. I think it's very good for me to practice Hearthstone. I do a lot of thinking. Being isolated from the world in the water helps me thinking lineups and decks and that stuff.
My X factor, and it makes my play unique, would probably be, a lot of people would say, my aggressive play style. I'm always looking for ways where I can eke out 1 point of damage. I don't think there's anyone in Hearthstone that likes to go face as much as I do. Personal goals for this year. Goal number 1, do not get relegated, which means I have to come in not last. So goal number 1, not last. 2, of course, win would be the dream, but I think you want to set reasonable and manageable goals. And I think definitely is reasonable and manageable for me not to get relegated. And then we'll build from there.
I know I'm not that good of a deck builder, but I think I'm pretty good at recognizing what decks are good and how to improve them. I don't know if other players already respect me or not. I think having the same players playing every week will create more rivalries. If I lose to someone in the first round, I will try to beat him more in the second one.
I mean, I love playing against my own region because I get to play against a lot of my friends, which is always really fun and entertaining, and there's so many different mind games. But at the same time, I'd really love to play against Europe and really knock them down a few pegs because they're so cocky all the time. I look forward to winning the most and losing the least. I definitely don't want to lose, and I definitely want to win, so it's really simple.
You heard a little bit about the two players as Firebat looks to cement himself in a position to make the playoffs, while Nalguidan currently #1. I think a lot of people were not sure about Nalguidan even going into Grandmasters, whether or not he could hang with some of America's best. And I think over the course of this season, he's definitely shown that, at least with the record shows, that he belongs to be here. I think there's also some just hotly contested debates about his play or his decks. He's also bringing a weird lineup this week. Yeah. He's got the Mech Paladin, he's got the Bomb Warrior. Firebat decided to go with the Reno Mage Christmas sweater with the Penguins combo. It's a very versatile lineup. Of course, Team Genji plus good decks tends to be what's the usual stuff, but even then, Nalguidan and Firebat, unusual ban strategy. Protect Reno Mage, the only Reno Mage that's featured this week. Neither player are really protecting the Priest, TJ.
Yeah, I think this might have to do with just how the lineups are built. I understand not protecting the Priest from Nalguidan's outside because I think Firebat has
protect the wild.
Honestly just a lot of game against it. And the Reno Mage, I think, is just a deck that I'm surprised more people haven't caught on to because it does feel good against Priest for the most part. Especially the way Firebat has built his list. He's got so many early game tools, Ironbeak Owl, Polymorph, a lot of drops, Doomsayer, Frostbolt, Ray of Frost. A lot of things to try and fight back, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. It's going to be Warrior for game number 1 here versus Druid from Nalguidan, the Malagos Druid.
Starts off with the Dr. Boom Mad Genius in his opening hand. That is a key card, I feel like, to stopping Druid in their tracks, but it's a little bit hard when they have so much damage from the hand that it almost makes it feel like it's not nearly as important. So one of the hard things to do as the Warrior against a combo deck is put on pressure. So what you often do is try to engineer a situation where it doesn't matter how much damage they have, you outlive everything. That's not really that easy to do with against a Malagos Druid that puts out 80 damage in a turn pretty easily. if they're able to assemble all of their resources. So I'm looking to see if Firebat can do what I feel like is virtually impossible, which is out-armor the damage. And if not, can he find a way to pressure the Druid enough?
There is some X factors in the deck for Firebat, one of them being Hecklebot, which could be a big card in the matchup. If he pulls out Malagos and has a way to kill it before Nalguidan can make use of it, then obviously, you know, there's not really too much of an opportunity now to win the game. Youthful Brewmaster is also interesting, but pretty much only on Hecklebot. Because Zephyrus, it's hard to craft a game plan where Zephyrus is going to get you out of a situation where your opponent is assembling an OTK. So Firebat, I think one of the main things he needs to do is kind of try and pressure early to force Nalguidan off of just what the game plan, the ideal game plan for him, which is essentially just drawing a bunch of cards. So I like the Omega Devastator play. But beyond that, Firebat is gaining armor and trying to disrupt the combo, because I don't think he's going to be able to pressure to the point of a victory, and I don't think he's going to be able to armor up out of range of everything. It's just a pretty tough matchup overall for him, and I don't think the Highlander style deck makes it any better outside of a Hecklebot pull.
Yep, well, I think I'm inclined to agree there. Hecklebot could be the problematic card, but for now, it doesn't seem to be in the range here of Firebat for a while. Nalguidan going with the Poisonous and Stealth, which is very vulnerable to a Dynamatic, TJ.
Oh, yeah. Now, granted, it's a Highlander deck.
Right, it's a one of.
There's only one, but it's also vulnerable to Warpath.
Yes. I felt like this was a risky play.
He could have rushed it and just rushed over the Acolyte of Pain to limit it to one draw.
It's true.
Granted, by keeping the War Druid Lode around with Poisonous, he can attack into the Acolyte of Pain next turn, limit it to one draw anyway, and still have it around for Firebat to need to deal with.
Drink with me, friend.
Youthful Brewmaster on the Town Crier. Key play to just kind of cycle through the deck for Firebat. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't think brewing the Zephyrus the Great has that much power in the matchup, especially considering that Firebat hasn't drawn any of the 2-ofs yet that he needs to draw before that's even active. Firebat has 2 Warpath, Shield Block, and Brawl. Oh, there's Warpath. Oh, there's Brawl. So just Shield Block. Nice.
Nice.
Little bonus.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if Firebat should just kind of set up the Tyrion, right? Like, and just try to play on curve and just add that damage to wrap this game up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if Nalguidan starts going on the draw train, he's giving you full freedom to develop onto the board. What else are you supposed to do?
Oh yeah, that's right. Nalguidan has King Feors.
Right, we saw that with the PNC and the race lineup. I think Nalguidan recognizes that he doesn't need the extra armor, and also to the 3-mana minion versus the Wrath. No shield block though, right? Which means he's still missing 1 card.
Still just missing the shield block.
That's annoying.
And he doesn't have... he just doesn't have a way to kind of disrupt the combo outside of Hecklebot. I'm trying to come up with a way, like a creative way with Zephyrus. But it just doesn't exist.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minions that come off with these King Feors. However, 3 of them are wisps.
Ooh.
So
The Bronze Herald needs to dump cards.
Bronze Herald. Death Rattle. Add 2 4/4 dragons to your hand.
He doesn't have Malagos in his hand. I guess he didn't even have cards to dump. Because he couldn't have innervated out any minions. Because he wouldn't have had mana. And he can't expend Moonfires.
He wants his Moonfires.
So maybe an opportunity for Firebat to sneak a win, a 1 in 15. There's ways for him to negate damage too with Swipe.
Getting that brawl in while he can. Kind of also gets a good read on what's in the hand, by the way. Seeing 3 Wisps means that very high likelihood that, well, it's just 2 Moonfires. It could be 2 Innervates.
Oh, Nalguidan's wincing right now. What's it gonna be?
1 in 15. The Malagos. I mean, even burning a
Swipe?
Other form of damage, right? A Swipe, or if he burns the Dream Petal Florist.
Ah, Dream Petal Florist as well, yeah.
That's also a devastating loss. There's a lot of bad things. Swipe hurts, but it's not game-breaking.
Yeah, you can get there without the second swipe.
Now we're kind of wondering about the second Feors here, but probably not, right? Like, you still want to still draw cards here and finish out your combo.
I wonder.
At least that's what I want to do.
Well, I want to keep the Floop.
Right,
think
the
that's-
Floop is important for you to finish your combo, because that allows you to play some really nutty things, either double Florist or play Malagos and then follow it up on the following turns with it.
Looks like he wants to nourish.
Time waits for no one.
Behold, jewels of the sun.
Oh, he's going to draw an extra card as well if he doesn't dump one, but looks like he's going really fast right now. Good hand management here.
Yeah, still leaves 1 space in hand. Malagos still in deck. Hecklebot's still active. And there's a shield block pickup, which means that Zephyrus is active.
Wonder what that means. What can Firebat do to win this matchup? Because, again, I feel like this matchup is so one-sided for the Druid. But I'm willing to stand corrected, because I think Highlander Warrior has beaten me a handful of times where I really didn't expect it to do well. Like, in this case, does Firebat go for a Mega Assembly and just try to play a mech? Like, what if he just gets, you know, like, War Gear, just, like, plops it on the board, force the Druid to react? I guess it's easy for the Druid to respond, right? It's not that hard.
What now?
Maybe one of the better things to get is to get, like, a Death Rattle minion that can't get answered
my
easily.
suggestion. I must choose.
Tyrion Forward Ring.
Probably the best option. Shield block armor up here. Edwin Van Cleef.
Ah. Nullifier.
The Brotherhood
Van Cleef.
All right, well, that's an 8-8.
Yeah, 8/8's very powerful because you played a couple of cards, so Nalguidan, in order to answer this, has to use multiple cards. And the Anubisat Defender can come in right afterwards.
Honestly, it also just kind of gives Nalguidan an excuse to play these cards from hand. All right, Malagos picked up, which means Hecklebot no longer.
It's brutal. It's really brutal. Like, again, I really like this deck that Firebat brought. I think it's super cool.
Could still pull out Dream Petal Florist.
Running out of time and options, though.
Yeah. Nalguidan only has 7 cards left. Still also Ace of Surger, so Firebat's going to have to spend a couple turns reacting.
I wonder.
Might be a Dr. Boom Shield Slam turn.
I'm thinking Dr. Boom. I think that Dr. Boom gives you an actual chance to do something besides tank up, or sorry, armor up, and that's going to be important to fight back, because Nalguidan still has a lot of hand dumping to do before the game finishes. So in this position, you can already start crafting lethal setups. You just have to play the cards that are in between the lease and getting those moonfires out. So double Oasis Surger. Then the next... So I'm thinking double Oasis Surger. Next turn you play Malygos. And then you play Elise. No, you can't get away with that. The idea is that I want to dump my hand, and then you have Malygos that's in your hand, then you can play Malygos ×2, and then Moonfire ×4. And that's 44
This
damage.
would be a good time for a dance.
So I wanted to just play 2 Aces Surges there. I think this works perfectly fine still, because Nalguidan's in full control, and I think he's keeping his options flexible. Personally, I like being more aggressive and dumping a hand, especially when Elise is active.
Yeah. Try and get it done in the quickest amount of turns possible.
The hardest part is kind of what Nalguidan's experiencing, which is if you draw the right side of your hand and it's a little bit too clunky to play, you don't have enough to dump, but you only have to dump to 7 cards. Because you copy the far left 3 ones,
Yeah.
and you get the second copy of Malygos, which is the most important thing. So to me, I'm pretty sure Nalguidan still is in a position to just like easily win this. But personally, I like being bolder and winning a couple turns faster if my opponent doesn't have the exact cards. But there's also life game for Firebat, right? So you might have like shield block to get out of range.
And if he picks up Blast Shield, might be able to have enough armor, but delivery drone. And I believe that's the last minute in the deck besides a Crystal Merchant.
Right. That was another thing too. I think because he had the guarantee of draw of the Dream Petal Florist and the Crystal Merchant, maybe there's a case to even play the Geppetto Joy Bust too at the final stages.
Maybe he has an Anubisoft left. Yeah, he does have an Anubisoft left. So this will pick up Crystal Merchant and Anubisoft Defender, if I'm not mistaken.
Ah, okay. He didn't have a guarantee then.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, this is just a way to dump cards.
Behold, jewels of the sands.
Though if Firebat picks up a decent magnetic target here, he can put on some pressure with Warpath.
Yeah, the Beryllium Nullifier not being able to stick on the board was definitely a bummer for him. These are some bad mechs.
I mean, Warpath Kaboombot allows Firebat to push through the 4 from the Snip Sap.
Ah, yes, you're right. That
And
is
he actually
true.
has mana to be able to play Shield Block here as well. So, I don't know. There's some pressure being applied. There's a hidden Oasis in Nalguidan's hand, which he will have to dump.
Does he have to dump it though?
Well, if he wants... I guess he doesn't have to, but, you know.
Am I mistaken, TJ? And like the line that I was describing is not really that possible. With the like you play Malygos and then you just like Elise. So there's a couple of weird things that happen with this deck. For people who don't know, really important discount. That should seal it. If you like play the Elise on a flute, I think it like sometimes remembers different floops. Like one, the floop was like the most recent card you played. It was also right before the Elise you played. There's some times where like I played this game and it gave me different floop scenarios, even though I was holding 2 copies.
Okay then.
It was a really interesting one. I don't know how consistent it is, so I couldn't replicate it immediately. But it was in a late game scenario where like I played Elise, I had 2 floops in hand, and one was for like the Elise and one was for like something else. And it was really strange. Either way, I got into a situation where I kept having to play Elise and like play a couple of moonfires.
Because the first one would copy the Elise, like the first flip copies the Elise, and the second one, it's a Battle Cry.
Yeah.
So it puts a copy in the hand. So the battle cries trigger first, right? Before like transform effects. So the copy effect, since that's a battle cry, will copy whatever fluke target you had in hand. And then the transform effect, the Elise having on the board after the battle cry, will copy the Elise onto the second fluke.
Oh, this is cute. Firebat copying the Dream Petal Florist. Hoping that Nalguidan doesn't have enough damage, but let's count how much he has. Malygos.
Malygos, the Floop Malygos plus double Moonfire Swipe, that's 22 plus the 14.
Okay.
So
Still
36.
He's holding 8 cards. 9 cards. Oh, so if he plays, he only gets the 2 Moonfires on the left.
Which should just be enough, right? Because...
Well, ideally what you do is you can get the second floop, so you can play Malygos floop, and then quad Moonfires for just bajillion damage.
But if he does it...
But right now he could hidden Oasis and swipe, and he'd be fine. Right? Am I misremembering? Am I mistaken?
He needs to be able to do it in the same turn.
Okay.
Because if he keeps just letting this happen, Firebat's going to keep developing.
Well, my logic was you play Malygos, and then you... oh yeah, but that was required you to play Malygos first before everything else, and then you could play all those other things. So, it's a very tricky situation here for Nalguidan. But...
Yeah. So now there's going to be 2 Malygos. Each of these Moonfires is 11 damage. There's going to be 4 of them.
And if he
44.
weapons projects, he's out of range, right?
Oh yeah, he's at 46.
Ah, wait, he doesn't have a taunt.
He can also swipe.
Ah, you're right.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah. So that's 44 plus 14, 58.
Yeah, he got reasonably close.
Yeah. With the 8 cards in hand, 1 played, he'll copy 2 Moonfires and a Malygos. So 2 0-mana Malygos, 4 Moonfires, each dealing 11 damage, 44. Plus
Even
a
if-
swipe that deals 14.
Yeah, because even if he had like the discounts on Elise only, and he had 4 Moonfires, he actually had 46 because he gave him the 2 damage.
Gave him the 2 damage from the weapon.
So I think it was kind of like he's in trouble either way.
Yeah. Firebat managed to put on a decent amount of pressure there at the end, and forced a tiny deviation from Nalguidan. Instead of just being able to kill him over 2 turns, nearly kill him over 2 turns, he had to go for the floop on the Dream Petal Florist, which whether it hit the Malygos or the Elise the Enlightened, gave him the guaranteed 58 damage for the next turn because of what he copied. So no way for Firebat to get out of that one. And Hecklebot not seeing it at all, and I think that might have been the only way outside of Firebat like piecing together a lot of magnetics and really piling on the pressure in the mid game.
Yeah.
Was the only way for him to win. Just a tough matchup in general, and like I said, I don't think Highlander makes it that much better. Gives you a little bit more pressure with Zephyrus, but other than that, Hecklebot or bust.
All right, we're going to take our final break of Super Saturday. When we come back, we're going to have the conclusion of this best of 3 between Firebat and Nalguidan.
The shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There's surely scorching deserts, and there's your monster of narcissism.
name is Sam Braithwaite, and I'm the Senior Global Franchise Lead for Hearthstone Esports. This event was especially cool because it takes place right after the brand new expansion, Rise of Shadows. Historically in Hearthstone Esports, we do our big events like this towards the end of an expansion cycle. But we really wanted to shake things up and really showcase that not only is the world champion the person who can pilot the best decks, but also the person who, when presented with a brand new game, can put together the best decks leading into the World Championship. Cheers to you guys, the sold-out crowd here for the HCT 2019 World Championship.
Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship.
We've had a lot of fun games, and we're looking forward to the grand finals. Showdown. Viper versus Hunter Ace. Only one can be the champion. Oh, come on!
Match be dead.
Wacko pick a miss coming out from Hunter Ace.
It's now or never. Arch villain reform.
Okay! In a completely solved game, Hunter Ace finds a way to maximize his chances. It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true.
Nalguidan currently up 1-0, looking to cement his position as #1 in division up against Firebat, who started off the season pretty well, but has kind of strung together a losing streak here. His unique lineup with the Reno Mage and the Reno Warrior is kind of struggling a little bit right now. I think last week he brought something similar, but took a couple of losses. This week, he retooled with the Reno Mage. I'm kind of looking to see if he can bust it out, and perhaps it's going to be much better versus the Priest Paladin combination than it was against the Nalguidan.
Yeah, I would agree. And I'm just excited to see some Reno Mage, man.
It's got Ice Cream Peddler.
It does.
I've played like 20 games of this deck, TJ, and I have yet to get its battle cry off one time.
I mean, you just have Frost Nova and Ray of Frost and Blizzard. That's only 3 cards in your deck, and then a 1-up that you need to draw, play like the exact turn that you play one of those other cards. I don't know. Maybe we'll see it this game, but it's Reno Mage versus Mech Paladin. It's happening.
Interesting. Throwing away Prismatic Lens early on.
He got it back. It's okay.
I thought Prismatic Lens was actually one of the more valuable cards, given that it helps you craft your game plan really consistently. Crystology on one, I mean, that could be the point. Like, you just throw everything to get Crystology on one. But it doesn't matter how big your mech gets built. If it gets polymorphed, you get dunked.
Yeah.
You talk about science effects being really good against his deck. Transform effects are like the ultimate killer. So at least when you silence, you still get a mech back.
Well, honestly, I think silence is better because it ruins the Kangor's pool, whereas polymorph does not.
Okay,
It's not one-to-one. There's merits. There's benefits of both, right? Polymorph obviously gets rid of the mech completely. He can't magnetize onto it. He can't re-up the board immediately and push damage. But silence just kills their Kangor's Endless Army pool. Because a lot of times you're kind of you can be greedy with Polymorph and save it for a minion that absolutely needs to be removed. The secret is Mirror Entity.
Yeah, Vaporize obviously not very good against a 1-1 that's on the board. Splitting Image is not that great with a 2-2.
Oh my goodness.
The Glowstone Technician. That is some powerful tempo that's going to be invested for the future turns.
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow. That actually sets up a good Conjurer's Calling situation.
Yeah, it's a 5-drop.
Whoa! Muck Hunter and Earth Elemental.
That is insane!
In terms of 5 drops, that's almost as good as it gets.
That has to be as good as it gets. It has to be. Because he gets to kill the 3-4 on the other side, and a 5-5's left in play, which is the average stat line of 5-mana minions anyway, and then gets a 7-8.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
There were entire decks built around the ability to get 7-8s off of Conjurer's Calling.
Firebat can't even believe his luck. He is blown away.
Yeah.
Converting stored energy.
Still, that's a lot of big stats on the board.
Yeah. I mean, he could just Reno on curve here to take out this minion. And keep in mind, while Kangor's Endless Army does keep magnetic buffs, it doesn't keep like Glowstone Technician buffs. So that minion that would spawn from that is just it's a 2-4 plus 1-5, 3-9.
Christmas is happening really early in the Kostic household.
Yep.
James and Rachel just hanging out. Firebat's like, real quick, babe. I just gotta dunk this guy with the Muck Hunter. Be done in just a sec.
Then we can get back to decorating the tree.
I wonder.
Skaterbot plus Mechanowag does allow him to get the trade on the board here. This is something you definitely worth thinking about Polymorph, because you don't want them to get the Death Rattle. If they get a big stat on board, that's not that big of an issue. But
he can also just Ray of Frost and kind of kill.
Oh my gosh. He just keeps getting Death Rattles and like really powerful stat lines, like high value cards. He's just gonna kill him.
He's just gonna kill him.
Nalguidan's dead?
He doesn't have skater bots.
Well, he did. He used them all.
I know, he used them all.
He doesn't have he used his Bronze Gatekeeper. He's actually just out-tempoed.
So, Mech Paladin has struggled over the past couple weeks of America's Grandmasters, but honestly, in this game, I don't blame it.
I think, oh yeah, first thing, Mage just drew insane, but the Mirror Entity ended up becoming such an important key to Firebat's reversal. And he has a really powerful turns, just that he has not enough life to capitalize onto it.
Yeah.
The Mech Paladin struggles continue.
Yeah. I like the order of operations there for Nalguidan. He wanted to hit Bronze Gatekeeper.
You're right.
Playing Call to Adventure first pulls out a cheap 1-mana minion, which increases the likelihood that Crystology pulls Bronze Gatekeeper. So good sequencing from Nalguidan to try and find it out, but unfortunately,
and he knew
you ain't beating that.
We knew that he was dead anyways because the Polymorph in hand from Firebat. Phenomage smacking down the Mech Paladin.
Yeah.
And then some. So that brings us to our last game of Super Saturday, which was that was a really one-sided affair.
It was. It seems like all the Firebat's Phenomage games are just insane.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the deck. No, that definitely is not.
It's a deck that wins really convincingly because the way it's geared is so good against aggressive starts that you rarely lose to aggro. But when you play against control decks, it feels like you have almost no chance. I played against just like a control warrior that played Dr. Boom, and I couldn't do anything. There's no Luna's Pocket Galaxy in this deck. There's no Puzzle Box. And as a result, there's no like things that capitalize on those late game scenarios nearly as much. Instead, there's Ice Cream Peddler, Halftime Scavenger. There's an Ancient Mysteries and Flame Ward. Like these are like anti-aggro tools against Quest Shaman, against Murloc Paladin Ladder, against even like the hunters, you know, like something to stop them. It's weird, but in a sense that it's aggressive. It's aggressively teching against fast decks.
Yes. Aggressively teching against aggressive decks.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Paladin versus Paladin. Here we go. I think this is overall a favorite for Mech Paladin, but
I will command
we
the
saw
light.
Mech Paladin lose earlier.
Yes, we did a lot.
No, to this matchup.
Oh yes, we did a lot.
I mean, it lost a lot. It only lost once, but it felt like it lost a lot.
Right.
Firebat has been a big proponent of Holy Wrath Paladin pretty much this entire season. His list hasn't changed much. Changed much. Did I say that 3 times, or did I say it wrong once?
You said it 5 times fast. That's what happens. Wow, perfect challenge from Firebat, saying you have to have a magnetic or this 1/3 is going down.
Yeah, and
that's a contest that, or is it contest?
Changed much.
For duty. Job done.
That's a play that I think a lot of players would probably not do immediately, or at least if they do, they second guess it. He was so convinced that that was the right play, and as a result, he's rewarded with early tempo. That said, Firebat does not have the card draw, and he needs that to have success in this game long term.
If that's the case, does he keep all-in on tempo to try and buy himself the most amount of time? Which would be like Elven Archer here on the 1/1 to protect his Wild Pyromancer.
I wonder. I must move quickly. You like to play with fire?
Tempo Paladin, all right.
Whoa. So playing both Wild Pyromancers means he doesn't have activators for any of his removals outside of the 1 Consecration. I guess if you're expecting 1 big minion, Elven Archer is the same as Wild Pyromancer as an activator. If that makes any type of weird sense. No?
Oh, you're asking me.
Yeah.
Reporting for duty.
Yeah.
Now he's going to use Elven Archer anyway. All right.
This is such a unique way to play this matchup.
It really
Firebat
is.
must have practiced this to the point where he like really understands like this is what you have to do to win.
Yeah.
If not, I mean, it's one of those. It's also one of those lines of play that if it doesn't work out, you look really silly because you're like, oh well, I played this completely differently than what most matchups are, and people start thinking, well, that just looks strange. But
I trust Firebat on this though.
Oh yeah, well, he's definitely the one putting the practice in. So if he's going to show us a new way to play this matchup and talk about it, then I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, I mean, Mech Paladin is very similar to Priest in the fact that they don't do anything if they don't have a board.
Right, they need a
Skaterbot
board.
is the only card that they have that allows them to interact with a board that they've lost. And once both Skaterbots are gone, you're confident if the board is clear that they're not going to be doing anything proactive outside of just building a big minion. Unfortunately, Firebat is not being rewarded for this logic, right? He's playing for tempo, but he's not getting any card draw to back it up. Both Baleful Bankers and Shrivala in hand, which maybe one Baleful Banker can be expended here, but Baleful Bankering any of these minions just puts another kind of dead draw in his deck that gets him further away from card draw. So if you look at it that way, he's got 3 dead cards in his hand and a Blood Mage Stone. Like getting the free damage into the Mechano Egg in case a taunt comes out on it, it means that he has an easier time getting through it and using removal instead on the 8/8 that comes out.
Yeah, this could be one thing that makes more sense too in like Eddie's deck list that draws a bunch of cards. That deck is so geared towards drawing cards because of like the extra loot hoarders and whatnot.
Yeah.
Firebat's playing a more traditional list of the OTK Paladin that doesn't have High Priest Deckle, but that has a Soup Vendor, so he has a decent amount of card draw himself. Automatic lens.
Finally, some draw for Firebat.
So maybe the logic is that Firebat stalls Nalguidan's early development, so that way he can have the freedom to be able to play like cards later in the mid game without worrying about dying at every juncture.
Reporting for duty.
Because Nalguidan only has a couple of 3/3s, or sorry, 3 attack minions. Snip Snap. Snip Snap's always what I feel like to be a bait card before you get to the Kangors. But we have Nalguidan losing his 1/3 already, so we know his Snip Snap, or sorry, his we already know that his Endless Army summons are going to be a lot weaker.
It's funny, I always regret playing Snip Snap whenever I
do.
play.
Right, yeah. I've seen you play Snip Snap and regret it.
Unless I win with Snip Snap, like still on the board, I regret playing Snip Snap. Reason being is because obviously Snip Snap will summon microbots when it dies, and those microbots each individually get added to the Kangors in this army pool.
Right. Now, I've had multiple Snip Snaps just fail spectacularly.
Yeah. But this is an opportunity for Nalguidan to apply some pressure.
Right, because now the eggs have to be dealt with, and Firebat has to pick up the Subdue. Interesting trade into the Elven Archer there. Guess trying to stop the egg from being cracked easily.
Still a long way to go for Firebat here, though.
Yeah, it does have an easy way to access card draw through Novice Engineer. And, ooh, Christology. Does he have any more cards to pick up? He definitely does.
Yes, he has Novice Engineer. He has
Acolyte of
Suit Fender, Acolyte of Pain, Crystal Smith Kangor.
Very wisely using the Shrink Ray as a way to nullify the damage, but not killing the eggs. He's just buying time.
Yep.
Nalguidan rushing through damage.
Converting stored energy. Protocol 7.
I guess he values the 3 damage over the 1 card, because he just wants to get that damage in now.
Yeah.
He's trying to put pressure on Firebat to make him have the cards now to deal with his threats. Kangor. Okay, Firebat now is at 9 cards. This will put him to 10.
Could Soup Vendor, Crystal Smith Kangor swing?
And then timeout.
There's plenty to go around. The light bends.
I guess it depends on what you draw. But Firebat probably feels safe at 19. He did see the war gear used.
I think you can take the risk this turn.
Wow, you can just go for the silence with the Zephyrus.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, 0 mana. 2 death rattles on board. Very likely.
Master Spell. That's also a hard one, too.
And now gets to hold on to timeout, and now Nalguidan's pressure is all but thwarted. There's still Skaterbot, Galvanizer, Bronze Gatekeeper. Nalguidan running out of pressure.
Yeah. The Blessing of Wisdom. I think Nalguidan's in a situation where he has to draw Kangor's Endless Army and end this game soon. But, like, things are not panning out for him right now.
Yep.
And Mech Paladin dropping another game here would mean that it goes winless so far this week, DJ.
Yep.
It won last week.
And Nalguidan also wants to deal with this Crystal Smith Kangor.
Right.
Because there's still a Flash of Light left in the deck. And he is, since he's running out of pressure, he wants to make sure he can deal with it.
Move quickly.
Oh, he finds the Kangor.
Okay. But has he given Firebat too much time? He has 9 cards left in deck. He has 2 timeouts.
does kind of depend on whether or not Nalguidan can heal out of that range. Does have Exiliax in the deck.
Has Ziliax in the deck. But only 6 power on board with 1 card in hand.
Firebat has 3 forms of card draw right now that he can easily use, and then Acolyte of Pain is like a 4th.
Like my invention.
Subdue. Subdue being a good source of controlling the state of the board. Can use that and then play Novice Engineer perhaps. Acolyte of Pain is also a candidate.
Let the pain speak to me.
Yep.
Move quickly.
And still no timeout usage. Wargear's something, but Kangor's is most power now, and he could follow up Kangor's with Wargear.
Oof. Handful of minions that died, and this is like the bad mechs. I mean, he didn't have that many great mechs either.
Yeah, I mean, he had
only
like
I think he had 2.
He had a Noil module also in there.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Like a vanilla Noil module. Like there was quite a bit of bad mechs in the pool. Honestly, he hasn't had a big mech die.
Reporting for duty.
Huh.
Because none of the eggs have died that haven't been silenced. There hasn't been a single Robosaur.
The Snip Snap minion, right? Oh, that got silenced?
The Snip Snap minion got silenced. None of the eggs have died except this one that got silenced.
There's like that one minion.
But this one got subdued. So it was only this one, these 2 mechs, and an Anoil module.
So you're telling me that there was just nothing good?
There was just nothing good in there, right? Because there hasn't been a single Robosaur.
You're right.
So none of the eggs have died that have had magnetics on them.
You're not wrong, TJ. Based off what you described. Firebat thinking if there's any way he can stretch out these timeouts a little bit more, and I think the answer is yes.
There's only 8 power on board.
I think he's perfectly fine.
There's only 8 power.
Move quickly.
Even if he draws the highest from this Blessing of Wisdom, draws the highest
I'd go as far
mechanized power from his deck.
I'd go as far as to say that Firebat could also just Baleful Banker his Zephyrus for a Master Spell, and then he'd just be 100% locked.
He could.
This is good, though. The Ziliax Wargear on top of his 4/4.
So it would go up to 12. He'd go up to 25.
Ah, just outside that range.
Let me think.
You'd put it on. No.
I think you want maximum heal.
Okay, so yes, you want maximum heal, but I think I would put it on the 110. Because now Firebat has a minion to trade in all of his other minions.
Does he?
Yeah, he has the 110.
Oh, and you're saying the other one didn't have taunt.
Quickly.
The other one didn't have taunt. So if he puts it on the one with taunt, the only way that Firebat can trade in all of his minions is by going into the one.
I see. Because both Wild Pyromancers have been used, so clearing the board is really hard. And you want a minion to stick so you can gain past 25 life.
So you gain past 25 life in case of a timeout. Because now Firebat has 2 chains of timeouts. Firebat can equality. He can trade in his two one health minions, then equality, trade in his soup vendor. No, he'd want to trade. No,
You're saying he should trade.
He needs to trade first. He needs to trade the 1/1s first. If he trades in the 1/1s first, then equalities, then trades in the soup vendor, then timeouts, he has a guaranteed over 2 turns because Nalguidan has nothing to attack into. So that's why Nalguidan should put the Ziliax.
I think it's still fine because...
Yeah, this works as well. He's got double Holy Wrath.
Right. He's got Holy Wrath over 2
Yeah.
turns.
So it works out the same exact way, actually.
The fact that timeout being 2 mana is perfect is probably what makes it fine here in this spot. And he also is getting rid of the heal, which is like kind of important.
Yeah. I guess I solved it in case Firebat used one of his Holy Wraths. There you go. I solved a completely irrelevant and useless problem for Firebat. You're welcome.
Well, Nalguidan can't really do too much here. Just clear off the board and
Let me
go next turn, I guess. Hope that Firebat messes up. We have seen some players mess up the OTK Paladin.
Was there a way that Taunt could punish him since he's at 26?
You mean punish Firebat?
Yeah.
Reporting for duty. I'm almost
I'm not
out
sure
of
if I follow.
cards.
Never mind. There was Flash of Light in the deck.
Yeah.
If there wasn't another card draw source in the deck, no, Firebat understood this one really well. Because now with Flash of Light, he can do...
Yeah, he was fine. He was fine either way. And Nalguidan, if the thing was, Nalguidan had to get rid of, he had to get rid of the taunt, and if Nalguidan found a way to heal even beyond that, so getting rid of the Ziliax is important. Post Cankors.
Let's say that let's say that he played a Noya module last turn and he can't get the 4 damage.
It's time to test your metal.
How does he win over 2 turns? Because he needs to spend all of his mana. That was his second timeout. He would need to spend all of his mana,
I'm out of cards.
and then he would have died. So I don't know. Maybe I didn't solve an irrelevant problem.
Hard to say. Maybe we should ask Firebat.
Yeah, because that was his second timeout. So he if a Noya module comes out, which was there was still one Noya module left in the deck. Let me just double check that there was, so I'm not talking about nothing here. Yeah, it's still another Noya module left in the deck. A Noya module comes out. He taunts both. Where does he get the 1 extra damage? Without Zephyrus. He would die on the backswing because he has no timeouts. He goes for 1 combo. He has nothing to attack into heal with Shibboleth because it's Divine Shield and Taunt.
Yep.
He was at 26 with lethal damage on board. He would have died.
What was on the board? It was 3 Robosaurs and a Hero Power, right?
3 Robosaurs and a Hero Power.
So if you play 2 Shirvalas and shuffle 2 in,
then he wouldn't have 26 damage.
But he would be able to kill both the 2/4s.
No, because he would have a Noya module faceless and had 2 8/12 Divine Shield.
The Noya module faceless actually would have been pretty sick. And he could have actually put it on a Robosaur, too.
He could have put on, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could have put on a Robosaur, which means that Shibboleth doesn't get through. And then, I don't know.
Sure, let's ask him. Okay. Firebat, you there? Can you hear us?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going all right. Is everything okay over in the Firebat household? Getting some mid-game coaching?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're ahead of schedule, right? I don't think I was supposed to play till 7, and it's just 7 now, so I don't think she thought I'd started yet.
Yeah, we're a little bit fast-paced, but, you know, your series was pretty back and forth. Highlander Warrior, you know, we saw it in action there, and, you know, we were talking about it on Omnistone, too. Is that just like an unwinnable matchup, Highlander Warrior against Malygos Druid from your experience, or do you think that there was a way for you to get out of that?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it with the way that game in particular panned out, the florist doesn't hit the Malygos at some point, you know, or if the florist didn't like double hit the Malygos, then all of a sudden the pressure actually matters because he has to take an extra setup turn for doing the At Least the Enlightened, right? It was super unfortunate that he was able to set up a situation where the florist could hit the Malygos twice. In my experience with that deck, it can be a little bit difficult to do that. Good on him for like getting the Pharaohs out of his hand and some of these clunkier things out of the hand when he could, so that he could try and get the florist to hit it. But that's not always how it goes. It doesn't always hit the Malygos, especially not on the first try. So when they can't get a 0-mana Malygos, I'd say you can definitely out-armor it, and you got windows of pressure. I tried to do the whole thing with the Edwin. Sometimes the Edwin can get him. Zephyrus making Edwin, I think, is something that a lot of people don't utilize as well as they should. But if you play 2 cards before it, it's very likely to give you Edwin, but not all the time. It doesn't matter how many cards you play after that. Once you're playing Zephyrs, you play 2 cards, and then it adds like a % chance to give you Edwin. If you add more than that, in my experience, it still is the same as if you had played 2 cards before the Zephyrs. So, yeah, you go for that. Like it gives it to you like 75% of the time. It gives you the Edwin if you played 2 cards before. There's other little conditions and stuff like that, but yeah, just knowing the Zephyrs conditions. Sometimes if they've already used the War Druid Lodi, a big Edwin can run away with the game.
Yeah, it looked like if you didn't have the right answer right there, it was a good amount of pressure. It was a surprising amount of pressure that War was able to mount with the Highlander deck. It seems like you're the only player, the only champion for Reno Mage in America, and you're racking the W's with Reno Mage. Orange was tweeting about how other players aren't valuing Reno Mage enough. What do you think? You agree with that?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's in a pretty good spot right now, especially if more mech paladins and stuff come out. I got really fortunate on my, what's that card called? The Conjurer's Calling. Yeah, that was insane. I was chuckling to myself a little bit at how lucky that was. But, you know, the matchup is really good for the mage just because the freezes are so effective versus that deck. And the paladin doesn't have any removal, so you just kind of freeze their board, go face, polymorph a taunt, freeze their board, go face again, rinse, repeat until they're dead, and you pretty much win that matchup every time. So if that deck continues to rise in popularity, I'd say Mage gets even better. The one downside for Mage, though, is the sudden emergence of Malagos Druid. Holy smokes, is that matchup really tough, unless you get like Giants or some other things that are like not normally in Mage right now, I'd say. So I don't know. Maybe Mage kind of falls to the wayside because of the Malagos Druids a little bit, but we'll have to see.
Giants not normally a Mage is not something I thought I'd hear for a long time.
Yeah, it's more anti-aggro, I'd say now, than anti-control. It used to be anti-control, but the Reno shell especially just lends itself to beating up aggro so well.
As per usual, as per tradition for most Reno decks.
Yeah.
TJ had a question specifically about the late game pan out for the OTK Paladin versus the Mech Paladin. TJ, you want to take that from here?
Yeah. Just in the last couple turns, did you think about what happened if the second Anoia module came down, the taunt, how you'd be able to get through the last point of damage?
I would Holy Wrath him in the face for either 2 or 4. And then I'd play... I have 2 Holy Wraths in my hand, so I Holy Wrath him, go immune, next turn do Shvala combo for 25.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He could play 7 taunts, doesn't matter. He could play 7 Ziliaxes, doesn't matter.
Okay. I've already forgotten what board states.
Well, yeah, Firebat's right, because he's saying that even if he couldn't get the 4 in, he would be able to Holy Wrath and then time out that turn and then do the shuffle next turn for 25.
Yeah, I'm talking about the turn after you'd played the second. Oh, no, okay, so if you had played a taunt the turn that you equipped True Server Champion, you would have Holy Wrathed him first and then Holy Wrathed him afterwards.
And then Holy Wrath him again the next turn, yeah. I mean, I had 50 damage. Like, I had 50 damage while being immune.
No, that makes sense. Like,
yeah. Good luck taunting through 50 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no way I lost from this spot. It was checkmate already.
Yeah. Nope. No, you're right. I was thinking, if he times out first and then Anoia module comes out, then he never gets the True Server Champion damage in, and he dies before he gets both combos off. But I guess you had 1 card left in your deck, so your deck wasn't empty, so you would have Holy Wrath and picked up the Flashlight. No, that makes sense. All right.
Did this lineup scare you
I'm satisfied.
I mean, bringing the Bomb Warrior against a couple of Highlander decks and having Mech Paladin, which is a very big wild card, which is... it hasn't performed on stream, but it's also been banned a handful of times today.
Well, Mech Paladin is terrifying. I played against Strife Crow's Mech Paladin last week, and I played this exact matchup that we played here, and I thought going into it, I was like, yeah, I'm clearly favored with my combo Paladin. I can shrink ray his stuff, I can delay him, and then go immune and win. And then he opened with like 1 drop into Blessing of Wisdom, and I was like, oh, crap, I am dead. So this time... one of the things that really helped, I think, was having the coin and being able to coin out that Wild Pyromancer. That was the play that makes it in that matchup. If you coin Wild Pyro, they're done, because then they can't get that Blessing of Wisdom snowballing, and you're just in command, because the late game is your home as the Control Paladin there, or the OTK Paladin. So if you can just make it out of the early game without them snowballing a Blessing of Wisdom, I'd say you're good to go. But overall, Yeah, the lineup didn't seem great for me going against it. I wanted to see Mech Paladin this week because I brought the Mage instead of the Druid. And then I didn't want to see Malagos Druid, though, so I'm a little behind. I'm ahead of the trends in terms of Mech Paladin, but behind the trends in terms of the Malagos Druid. So I say I got it half right, and luckily enough, it was good enough to get there. But yeah, I got to try and figure out something a little bit better probably for next week, especially if I'm going to try and keep Mage in the lineup with the direction people are going with Druid.
All right, cool. Well, that's a really good insight as per usual, Firebat. Congrats on the win. And you're still very much in contention for playoffs, so we'll see you back tomorrow against Eddie.
Sweet. See ya.
All right, so always a pleasure to talk to Firebat and get to hear some of his thoughts. But that does it for Super Saturday, TJ. Really quick day.
Yeah, I always think that I'm like, Firebat's just playing perfectly. I'm going to find one little thing. I can never do it.
I mean,
he even had the answer there.
That's right. That's right. But, I mean, it's not like the players are incapable of making mistakes, TJ, and neither are the casters. But let's go ahead and check in on the schedule and talk about what went down today. We had ETC go up against Strifecrow. That was a match for last place in the division, and it ended in a tie in standings for Strifecrow and ETC. Then we had PNC 2-0 over Bloodyface, a crucial victory for him, but a blow to his teammate and friend, Race, from Team Genji, who took the loss against Saiyan, who was able to get some really good plays with the Malagos Druid and get that victory.
Yeah, Race got to pick it up these last few weeks if he wants to avoid relegation. And then Amnesiac took the 2-0 victory over Zalay. Always cool to hear Amnesiac's insight, especially now he's on a 4-match winning streak, I believe, going from 1-4 to 5-4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So very impressive kind of second part of the season for him. Callan taking the 2 over Purple, and Firebat taking the 2-1 over Nalguidan.
That's right. Tomorrow we're going to wrap things up with Eddie versus Firebat to start things off. We kind of mentioned that. Then we have Muzzy versus Nalguidan. Muzzy beating Nalguidan would make him tie the top of the standings for the playoff spot. It'll be a very interesting finish. Bloodyface versus Race, a must-win scenario for Race, and would definitely like to win scenario for Bloodyface to cement himself to the top 4 in Division B.
Yeah, and then the 4th match of the day will be TJ's Frodan's featured matchup of Sunday, which is Just Saying versus Amnesiac. 2 practice partners, friends for a long time, former teammates. Every category under the sun that you want to name, you can put into that matchup, and they're going to be going toe-to-toe. They came out different with the Druid lineups, with Just Saying picking Malagos Druid and Amnesiac saying no time from TJ's Frodans.
TJ's Frodans, Amnesiac.
And
Great.
Then Monsanto versus Frozen to close out the week, the day and the week tomorrow. That one should be interesting as well.
All right, well, that does it for us here in the Hearthstone Grandmasters for Saturday. I hope you guys have enjoyed it all the way from around the world, but we're going to start things back over in Asia Pacific tomorrow. And then after that, TJ, 5 weeks are done. We're going to roll straight into week 6, then week 7, and then playoffs are upon us. Grandmasters is all available online if you missed any part of the broadcast at playhearthstone.com/esports for deck list, schedule, VODs, and a whole lot more. We're done here. 2 a.m. We'll be back with Derek and Raven over in APAC. Until then, it's been fun. Frodan, TJ, and everyone here in Studio 5 in Burbank, California, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.